Benedict knew very early on when they told him to step down, they're gonna kill him, that he was about to approach a great degree of suffering. Now, that was the 10 years that he was sequestered, and he said, I may as well spend my time praying for the church and writing, and I think he was even contemplating, we're going to do this fifth dogma. He knew that was key, and we're just going to go ahead and do it. And he said,
about the co-redemptrix.
That's right. He said, but God in his infinite mercy toward his church was kind enough to delay the great mystery of iniquity a little longer, for he knew that this mystery would be revealed after my death, and that he would act in complete freedom supported by his most faithful associates. The great destroyer of the church was already on his feet. His name was already heard in the corridors. He's talking about Bergoglio. So they knew, he was a stopgap, apparently. Benedict was a stopgap, because then Benedict even said,
no, stopgap. He was not a stopgap. He was the intended pope, but then the One World Order said, no, we're not going to have that.
But why would they vote him in? Did he had enough votes to get in? So
right, because the word hadn't come down from the One World Order people yet to stop it.
Okay,
like Rhodes got stopped when it came. That's on mine. When Rhodes got the okay to go ahead with Our Lady of America exposition in this diocese, when he was told by the Vatican, no way, no fucking way.
They didn't want it.
Right.
Sure, because they're de-emphasizing.
It's going against what we've got coming. We're going to be shutting down Mary.
Right. Okay.
This doesn't happen overnight. This was a long play.
Okay.
And this has been going on since 2012.
Well, they must have great fear, because Our Lady says this is the gold standard of apparition. This is the conversion of souls, the greatest number of souls saved. They're not sure how this plays out, because they think they're in control. They think they snuffed it out. They think they got everybody in line, and to a certain extent, the Catholics are really dumb. I mean, and
they like it that way.
And they like
the Vatican likes it that way. The Islam likes. I was talking about IQs.
Yeah,
I had to take an IQ test the other day for a cognitive follow up from a concussion I had a few years ago, and all good news. So it's back up and it's going along. But I learned a lot of things in the process from the neurologists on things, and one of them is that as a group of people, okay, there's sub-Saharans and there's jungle people who really don't have a high level of IQ, but they got a great level of adaptability, okay, to learn things, because they're kind of in a vacuum.
Yeah, so tabula rasa, their brain is still
right, and that's okay for a low functioning.
That's okay, yeah,
person,
sure, right.
And they take orders, and they're very docile in that regard.
Yeah.
So,
and they're legitimate, though. They're not like phony.
No, because they haven't been corrupted in that way.
Right.
Well, they haven't found the money, and they haven't gotten the trappings and material stuff. But what I did find out is the average IQ of an American or Western civilization individual is 100, or maybe 101. Okay, that's functioning. That's doing well. I mean, you can gather concepts. It takes training, and that's why, they're the 80% of people in the classroom. The classrooms are all composed of 10%, 80%, and 10%. 10% at the top, they don't need a teacher. Just give them the book and the assignment. They'll get it, and they'll do extra credit. 10% are always going to be that way. They don't really need the helpful, the tutoring and stuff like that. 10% at the bottom, they're never going to get it.
Well, they can be on the football team, but they don't get a uniform.
Well, they may need 2 uniforms because they may be that dumb. But the 10% at the bottom are never going to get it, and the teachers realize that. These are the kids that are going to be, functioning at the lowest levels all their life.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got 80% are the target range in the middle, and that's the folks that have this 100 IQ up and down the line. And so the job of the teachers is try to get to that 80%. To try to raise as much of them as possible. But now what they are doing now in the schools is they don't want them raised up so much as they want them to be maintained at equilibrium so that they can be controlled by the AI, the brain
people
that is coming.
that really is an imposition on humanity.
Yeah.
People are stuck to those things.
So you got you got this 80% in the middle, going at 100 IQ. You got the 10% above, they're going to go between 100 and 140 IQ. I mean, you're going to have some real geniuses in that pack somewhere. And then you got the folks down at the bottom who are going to be down to your 80 IQ range. But they did lay on me some facts. I said as a group, who is smarter, Christians or Islam? And they said, oh, Christians by far. Christians are more like 100, and Islamists are more like 80. And it's because they're schooling. Now they get 8 years of schooling, and so much of it is in studying the Quran, throughout their day, and not so much of it about academics. And so these people aren't critically thinking. And he says the other part of it I brought in, I said, and I don't think the inbreeding helps too much. They go, no, it doesn't, because they marry their cousins. And they haven't been doing this just for a short time.
Over a long
They've been doing
period.
it for 1,400 years.
Yeah, and you were saying they're trying to get that law passed more recently here in Michigan.
Well, in Michigan, they're trying to pass a law that it's legal now to marry your first cousin. And the Catholic Church had put that all away years ago. Said, I don't think you get anything closer to a second cousin. Because the Catholic Church realized the implications, and all anyone has to do is look at the paintings of the kings and lords of England throughout the 1500s.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You got some real lookers.
Yeah,
I mean,
you were saying that about the
well,
English.
hemophilia,
Yeah,
and all like
that's
this.
right.
The
That's
secondary.
right, yeah.
Well, the Muslims got the same problems.
Okay. Well, maybe if you mated the Muslims with the English. You
Well,
get it.
this is why you got the grooming gangs.
So
They're going around in England right now. They go after young ladies who aren't Muslim to try to convert them to Muslim. They get the dispossessed young girls. They go around in groups of guys, and they rape these young gals and turn them into Muslims, and then they, have their way with them so they can mix the blood.
And what's that? I wonder what that's going to look like.
Well, it's going on.
So they're procreating.
Oh yeah,
with the white women and
it's been going on for years in England and all throughout. That's part of the invasion that goes on.
Does England want to self-destruct or what's the?
I don't know if they want to, but they are. England is about basically done.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to England.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, and this family that is one of the richest in the world, the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
What's their position in a Muslim-dominated country?
I think Charles has been trying to help it along with the open border type of thing. I think he's been having some. There's some foundation. I'll look into it, but it was really it was all part of the one world order type of stuff to knock down the borders between countries, equalize everything, because this goes back to the AI problem that we're going to have. When AI is fully engaged, it's going to eliminate over half the jobs.
So do you think they're trying to destroy the middle class in
I think they're trying to destroy the population. I think they're trying to reduce the population by half.
But they have to have something in mind to destroy Islam, because Islam's going to destroy them. They're not going to stop.
I don't think they care so much about who controls that aspect of it, and it'll probably die out. I don't know, but I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to kill off half the world's population. And a lot of it, the pandemic was
part of that.
Part one.
Okay.
The pandemic, as we say. And
right.
What they found out of that is they can get you to do things that you normally wouldn't have done under the threat of, death
Right.
coming in of a crisis. And that was why the masks, the 6-foot rules, it was all bullshit. Okay. And no one's accounting for that. And they won't give up on that, because that
worked.
That would invalidate all of their, pre-planning and positioning they did politically to suppress everybody and get them to submit to the. I don't know if they'll do it again, but it'll probably take some visible alien type presence, and maybe they're playing around with these alien files and stuff like that's going on now. But it's far deeper than that, and their desire to equalize the world all comes down to this AI, because they have to get rid of half the population because there's no way they can support 8 billion people in a mechanized and robotic, sort of industry world that it'll become. They won't. What are you going to do with 4 billion people who are bored out of their minds? And they're going to take drugs. They're going to do illicit things.
Okay.
And then they're going to get unhappy with that. And then crime and other things are going to go way up. And you're going to have suicides are going to go way up because no one's happy with themselves, their lives, or how things are going. And they're making suicide legal in Canada.
So they're saying, let's kill them before we get to that crisis.
Well,
point.
let's let them kill themselves. We'll make life so boring for them that they say, "What's the point?" And they'll kill themselves. We'll let them get through to their productive years when we need their bodies and their backs. But then when they get into their 30s, they start realizing that life is a lot more than what they thought it was. Through the likes and the things on social media, and they start realizing that their life is really empty. And then they get disconsolate, and then they're going to be more apt to, end themselves.
Well, this is where I think faith comes in. Is that the reason we're here is we're here on a pilgrimage, and this is a process of will we come to the faith of Christ, and that's what gives hope, and that's what gives meaning. For people, and if they don't have that and all they have is material and fentanyl.
Well, fentanyl, they like that because that just brings them down. That's why they got marijuana is legal everywhere. They're going to make that even more available.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good deal.
I talked about that the other day, but the level of purity or the level is like 90% on some of the stuff. And they're talking about the stuff that people were smoking back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, like 35.
Oh, really? So this is really
so
stuff.
the psychosis is much stronger.
My goodness.
In the population today using marijuana as a sedative and, a daily routine.
Right.
They're giving up on alcohol, which I'm fine with, but they're picking up the marijuana. But is a much more, powerful drug that's going on, and this is getting everywhere.
So it makes sense of this Garabandal prophecy of the Holy Spirit interfacing with each individual, each soul, as a desperate attempt to allow that soul to be saved, because drugs, all this kind of a thing, eliminating population, all satanic. All of this is satanic, is the mutilation, destruction of God's creation, humanity. It's made in his image and likeness.
And it's the devil's desire for you to destroy yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
The devil can't kill you, but he wants you to kill yourself.
Right.
Because the devil destroys. And when Kamala Harris said that the first thing they wanted to do with this Green New Deal or whatever was reduce the population, she said it once and never said it again. She got her ass handed to her when she came off that stage by her handlers. You weren't supposed to say it. What the hell were you thinking? Right. You can't tell them that.
She's a one world order.
Well, she's an idiot because she knew that they were supposed to keep that part quiet.
Couldn't do it.
I got to reduce the population.
Oh, what'd I say?
Yeah. And no one ever pushed back on it and did a follow-up. But that is what they need to do. Right now we got 8 billion people in the world. They think that under the new norms and the new world order, they could only support half of that.
How many billion?
4 billion they've got to get rid of.
Yeah. Well, they that talks about supporting half of that is really the people that support are the farmers. It ain't they. I mean, they are like in control of like robbing us of our money and taxing us. If we had to depend on government to feed us, forget about it. They don't know how to run farm equipment. You want pork, come to Indiana. They know how to do it. We support ourselves. We work ourselves. We go out there. We create things. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But you got to do something of value. It's exactly what you said. If they take away work and all this time is on their hands, put a gun to your head because it's already over with.
Well, after a while, it's going to get boring, and you're not going to have any form of uplifting excitement.
Except
because,
doing this.
well, they're going to, well, they're,
Even that, right?
yeah, it's not even that anymore. They're just so slow about it. They either, eat something or they, have a vape or something like that. But, the life for a lot of our younger people especially is getting to be very dismal. And that's not a good thing. And I don't like talking about that because I've been accused of being the most optimistic person in the room too often, at business meetings and stuff like that. So, Larry, you're just being way too optimistic about this. I said, no, I'm telling you that there's potential. We just have to
Harness it.
get people to drive it this way. So the energy is there, the interest is there.
Well, you at the Springs, you had those kids that saw the sun spinning, ran to their parents and stuff. You saw the enthusiasm. They were asking, does this happen all the time? And that they had this desire. You saw it. You saw the young people,
The little Jewish girls
perk up. Yeah,
yeah.
It's not that it's not there. It is there. It's it's when they come to you. Do you have the wisdom and the guidance of God to proceed with these kids? And
that was funny because I asked him. They said, well, we see the sun's just doing this, and it's like looks like it's going to explode. What's going on? And I said, what do you think is going on? He says, well, we think God's trying to talk to us.
Wow.
And I said, huh? I said, that's pretty close. I said, maybe God wants to hear from you.
And they
Maybe
smile.
God wants you to talk to him.
Right. Oh.
And they just
perfect.
looked at each other and go, oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, where that came from, I never would have thought of framing it like that, but it's perfect.
Well, it just came out of.
You don't know where.
Yeah. It was what I was offered to respond. I said, that sounds pretty good. It's maybe, just maybe.
Yeah. No, and you're still right. It is there, and we have failed to provide these kids with those alternatives, either in, like you said, maybe just a smile or an acknowledgement or engaging in conversation, or you ask them, what do you think? And it could be anything, but we just can't be stuck to the phone and be at a table sitting and eating, and we're all doing this. I mean, this is, and I see it. It's like, it's crazy. You're thinking, well, just put it down, talk to them.
They can't do it. They just can't do it. They're too addicted to it. And if the phones got taken away and the internet goes down, you will see a lot of mania going on, and people will self-destruct.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there have no self-esteem because they've never done anything.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they've been challenged.
Right.
And part of this is because they've never made themselves vulnerable enough.
Yeah.
And that's what I talked about in my podcast yesterday about square dancing. Square dancing might just save the world, because square dancing makes you vulnerable if you're learning it.
Right.
And you're the new kid, so you're going to look a little awkward. Yeah. But if you do it all as a group, everyone looks a little awkward, and you don't have to just think of it like, hey, you can do square dancing even to hip hop music.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be country music or something like that. You can do the square dancing is just a social kind of exercise that lets you let down some of your guard and be a little more vulnerable in this situation. That's a good thing for you to
absolutely.
help develop your self-esteem.
And people like to do group dancing and stuff.
They do line dancing.
And
it's just a different form of square dancing.
And you never see line dancers or square dancers with this in their hand while they're doing it because they're having fun and they're doing something wholesome besides getting some exercise. Benedict, getting back to him, says that my suffering as Pope began on the first day of my election. When I stepped onto the balcony, I saw the roar in a sea of souls, and I understood my fate. God had me in his grip. When I was dressed as Peter's successor, a shiver came over me. Throughout my body, I felt like a lame lamb being led to the slaughter. Over the course of my life, I have come to realize that the Lord's ways are not easy and are littered with roses and with thistles. So it's dangerous to believe that one can choose any path that they all lead to the truth. This is a great mistake on the part of a person who is currently leading the church. He's talking about Francis.
Francis having already said that all religions lead to God.
He says he can promote this kind of regime and division within. In a way, it means accepting communion with relativism, an ideology that I have condemned countless times, with revolutionary ideologies that seek to impose the powers of the world by force, and the grave errors propagated by the church from the desecrated throne of Peter drive souls to suicide.
Does that sound like it's being written and composed by a humble nun in Colombia?
Not to me, Larry.
I don't see any of that coming out of even a woman's voice.
Right. That's right. This is exactly...
That's all man thinking.
That's right.
That's all man brain.
You're right. You're discerning.
And I'm hearing,
you're discerning the ebb and the flow. Well,
right.
But you're a writer, anyways. I mean, that's part of your the value that you have in terms of the things that you do. But the guy that did the translation on the Mystical City said the same thing. Blatter said, "You will know by the way that these things are presented in the flow, and the ebb and the flow. You'll be able to discern."
Right.
And of course, that's not a poor nun that is in seclusion.
Yeah, I mean, no woman could have. No woman would have composed that in that way. That was a man's voice.
And he's warning about the current pope, because you got to remember, this is coming from heaven, from Pope. He's warning about the current pope, what he's doing. It ends with suicide. The throne of Peter drives souls to suicide. God help you. You know, they talk about, Francis, where is he? I don't know where he is, but I'll tell you, if I was a betting man, I don't think he's in a very good place.
Well, limbo would probably be his best option right now.
If he could get there, yeah.
I would say so, because I think there's a lot of explaining to do. A lot of correction. He'll probably be one of the last, groups in.
Yeah.
Back of the line kind of stuff.
He's got problems.
Well, he's not alone, because
no, he's not.
He didn't elect himself. Okay, this complicitness that was in there, but he was put forth and pushed by the Lavender Mafia, the administrative staff at the Vatican, as they did with Leo, or Prevost, to make
sure they're handpicking, right, these fake popes.
Yeah,
and these guys are accepting it. But the other thing with Francis, the cruelty, and we'll get to that at some point. He talks about, there I had a vision of the future of the errors that had arisen from that moment on, thanks to the misrepresentation of the council and the many purple wolves, I'm not sure what he means by that had infiltrated and which had certainly entered through the schism in the church during the pontificate of John the 23rd. So John the 23rd was the Pope that was ushering in Vatican II, and John the 23rd was the Pope that refused to read the Third Secret of Fatima in 1960. So this whole thing was being orchestrated by some of these people who were influenced by communism, socialism, because he was in Bulgaria, I think, John the 23rd. And he came off as being kind of, I read his book years and years ago, and it just didn't feel right when I read it, but I didn't have the same knowledge base that I do now. And I think it was a book that he had underwritten, that he approved of. So at any rate, a lot of these things have been engineered over, not just Vatican II. They knew there were problems prior to that, which is why you saw preparation through John Francis Knoll, Archbishop, and trying to counter many, many different assaults on the church. And they saw modernism as one of the things coming in and tried to correct it. Unfortunately, we are at the pinnacle of the clash between good and evil. And we know who wins. and who gets crushed. And we're just going to have to see what souls are going to be saved and what are not. And so that's what our mission is, every one of us, is to understand that what's at stake is our eternal lives, and that the real life really is in heaven, not down here.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, where you're going to go, you're not going to have any peace. They want to eliminate, half of the population of the world, and they're using, bio and biological and chemical things to destroy us. I mean,
well, and they're using our own egos and our own vanity against us in these things, especially with our younger people, because they don't see any point in moving forward and struggling to fix anything. They figure, what's the point? What could I do? I've been told I can't do anything. I've been told to sit down and shut up all my life and to follow the pack,
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
So they don't have this spirit of stepping out to challenge the wolves. I tried looking up purple wolves. I couldn't find any reference to it.
Well, you don't know what it doesn't mean anything.
I tried looking it up. It didn't have any.
The only thing I can think of is purple is like a ruling. Purple is what the kings would wear.
Well, they would, but also isn't purple the color that the priests wear for death or whatever?
I think there's a purple in religion that represents something sacred.
I think it goes with the martyrdom, or maybe that's the red one that goes with the martyrdom. But I think the purple goes with the death in the morning or whatnot. But there's so many layers to this onion that's going on, and a lot of these things as they're folding off of here. And when we approached this, a year ago, I think the first time we talked about this.
About a year ago.
We got a bit of blowback, and everyone says, oh, that's heresy, that's bullshit. Dr. Miravalli said it's not true and all like that.
Who's that guy?
He's over at Franciscan University over in Steubenville. He's one of their professors. He writes a lot of books. He's part of the religion industry.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it.
And so guys like that who write all these books,
right.
I think if you've written more than 2 or 3 books, you apparently didn't have enough to say.
Right.
And you should have been able to
something
get it
ought to be outstanding, right?
Right. And when you got 16 books going on, it's like I think you need a hobby. After a bit. So you got too much is going on and distracting you from real life, or either that or you don't mow your own lawn. But
I believe it's that. It's that they believe their own lie and they keep on producing.
Well, and they keep, because this was
let's say it another way. Yeah,
this is what gets them to sell another book and things like that.
Publish or perish.
But and none of these folks who write these books have had the experiences. They just write about them.
Right.